Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, guys. Well, it is Wednesday. A little bit of a different market. Maybe we get some opportunities to go long in the treasuries today. We'll see. Coming over here, you can see there's a little bit of trade. There was a big block. Well, let's not call it a block, but a pretty big 4K lot going into the offer here at 23. But then it's been kind of quiet since then. But do kind of think there could be something afoot, and I'll talk about why here in a second. Let's go to the charts. So we come here to the ZN. We had a little bit of a down move yesterday off of the news and overnight and everything, but gently through the session, later in the session, we moved up. Now over here in the S&P 500, pretty quiet through most of the day, and then towards the end it just really puked. And looking at the flows, we got a report from Goldman Sachs suggesting that there's some like $32 billion from pension funds and risk parity funds, etc., that need to rebalance for the quarter and therefore sell $32 billion worth of equities and then turn around and buy the treasuries. So we believe that is why we are seeing this flow. And they are starting early, right? Because we still got, we got 2 more days, I guess. We got 2 more days until the end of the quarter here for the trading. So that becomes a very, very important flow for the next few days. Here in the treasuries, what am I talking about? Oil, a little bit of a down day. They are starting to develop a range between $80 and $83. Gold and silver still doing okay. You're getting like these little spikes up, but they're not like really going, but especially in gold. And then copper's languishing a little bit. China's still struggling a little bit here on building on, this rise that they've had. The Japanese yen, they did have a central bank meeting and so forth. So there was a little bit of a pop there in the Japanese yen, you can see, but it doesn't really move the needle, like, oh man, I tell you what, the Japanese yen is just like really stuck down there. I really do think that if they came in and they did some currency intervention, that this thing could just like pop like super hard, but it's not happening yet. And keep an eye out for currency intervention though still. And we got Bitcoin still in a little bit of a range here, just above 70,000. So that's where we're at here this morning. Let's come in and do our, so first of all, let's copy or move today.md to 2024-03-26, right? Because the day's the 27th? Yes, it is the 27th. Okay. Okay, so here, end of month flows, sell equities, buy treasuries, the Bank of Japan meeting, boosting yen. Then let's see here, we don't have any, oh my gosh, did I just crash? I just crashed Chrome. I will allow that report and restore the tabs. That's crazy. It's never crashed on me like that. Okay, so we don't have anything at the bottom of the hour. We do have 7-year treasury auction. And there is supposed to be a Fed speaker of some sort today. Don't see it on this list. Let me. Bostic. Right here. Insert. Bostic speaking. No, wait. It's not. That's not today. Waller. Waller's later in the day. Let me come back, because I remember seeing something on my new Squawk. Is it just Waller? Yeah, Waller, but that's not until much later in the day. Waller, late in the day. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Morgan K says, I think the Fed speaker is this evening. Looks like that is correct. Also, it is Wednesday. Tends to have higher flows. Okay, so that's what we got right here. Oh, this right here needs to change. This is Wednesday. There you go. Oops. Delete, make sure it all looks good. There we go. All right. So it hasn't budged from there, but we are going to be on the lookout here for some buying flows, okay? Not a whole lot happening, though. I don't like when their spread is like 2 ticks like that. They did kind of like move up and are creating... I'm not going to say it's a liquidity hole, but it's likely to become a liquidity hole because they just kind of are letting it slump there. They're just kind of relaxing there. So come over here, just kind of check new king versus old king, Nvidia versus Apple. Yeah, that is actually kind of curious that like Nvidia has become the stock and Apple is struggling hard. And I do kind of wonder if, because Apple has lost that top spot kind of place, that alone is hurting it. Because I think that there's been a lot of negative stuff around Apple for a while, and the market just kind of ignored it. So 32 billion in month-end pension selling. Yen surges ahead of Japanese intervention, except for that they haven't really moved yet. Okay. Former RNC chief McDonald fired after talent mutiny at MSNBC. Oh, I'm surprised. It's super crazy that like you can't be on TV now because you were former Republican chair. Okay. Apple is going to go the way of sorry. Oh, Sony of the way of Sony. Ooh. Dude, that's harsh. That's harsh. What does Sony do these days? Well, they still got the PlayStation. Like one of the things that stands out in my mind about Apple is that like compared to Microsoft, for instance, is that I think Microsoft has built out a pretty amazing tech stack, right? Their cloud is super great. The C# programming language is amazing. Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code are the top, programming editors, all these things. And then you turn over into Apple, and Apple has done, they have kind of dabbled in the space up. They supposedly have really great engineers over there, but the languages that they've introduced, what was the one that they did do? I can't even remember now, but not really picking on all these things. So like they didn't use their success to really build like an ecosystem. Swift, that's right. Swift, that's exactly what I was thinking of, Swift. It is just like they just didn't build the same ecosystem. And when I think about Microsoft, I wouldn't say that Microsoft still has the monopoly that it did, you know, although that's largely because areas other than the operating system became so much more important, right? But Microsoft continues to do well because it's really, I think, the ecosystem. When I look at it, ecosystems is the one thing that like you can't duplicate. You know what I mean? Like NinjaTrader. NinjaTrader can come in and make tons of mistakes, and we still prefer and use it because the ecosystem. You get what I mean? And Apple didn't do that. Apple didn't do that. They've got their phone, and I guess they've got their phone ecosystem, but it's just not the same, man. And I'm a little concerned that without something else other than their phone, that Apple is not going to do well in the future. And I blame that directly on their culture of like locking in everything and Apple being in charge of everything, you know? So I've felt that Apple is overvalued for a long time. So what you gonna say? Everything's overvalued all the time anyways. So what does it matter? Right? Well, there's still been some volume coming in and out here in ZN, but they haven't budged from where they're at. The spread has come in a little bit here in the micro treasury yield futures, but there's not really any trades happened over there either. So I think we just kind of chill. We do have, I thought we had stuff a little bit. No, it's a pretty straightforward no news Wednesday. No News Wednesdays can be some of the most interesting ones. Did you see the video on the Oh, I think I know what you're talking about, but I didn't watch it. That there was this exploit in Apple that like they can't undo or something like that. Let's see here. Yeah, it was like CPU level backdoor. Oh man. Well, when you say it, when you mentioned, I definitely saw a video about that on YouTube, but I didn't watch it. Like I saw the thumbnail, but I didn't watch it. But when you say that, it makes me wonder, like, was it intentional? Yeah, researchers find unfixable bug in Apple computers. That is exactly the vid name that I've been seeing. But you know, there's this whole thing that like governments have been putting backdoors in things and stuff like that. So I almost kind of wonder. That's my first thought when I think of that. But you know what? The other funny thing is that, you know, I talk about that Apple didn't really build a very good ecosystem, but they do have the iPhone ecosystem, and that's pretty strong, and that'll probably keep them going for a while. I don't think that it will keep them as like top dog, but you know, that should probably sustain them for a while. But you know, they're getting sued for the way that they've handled the App Store, and I think rightfully so. Because the whole thing, the whole time with Apple has been create this walled garden and don't let anybody else in and just abuse the heck out of that power. And I think that it's going to bite them in the end, you know? It's a fascinating, I'll watch that after the stream. There's lots of, I've been trying to watch more like programming related stuff on YouTube lately. I don't know. The programming content on YouTube ain't very good. There's this one guy. What is his name? I I can't even find it. Prime, like the Primogen, I think is his name. His YouTube name is not like what they call him. So I think he must have changed his YouTube channel at one point or something, but it's the Primogen, and he's so hilarious, man. He's pretty funny. But other than that, like most of the programming content that I see on YouTube is really bad. Like I don't think the people that are making the content are really like the high level engineers I would want. And I don't know, this is just kind of weird. And then the videos are usually very boring and are about things that I already know. A little frustrating. But I kind of feel like that's the way it is with most content on YouTube. So what it is, I'm just too smart, guys. I guess I'm just too smart. No. You know what? Woodworking. When I watch woodworking videos, oh my gosh, the amount of detail that these guys can go into on what seems like such a simple topic as woodworking is just insane to me. That's what I expect from my YouTube content. There's some good YouTube content around woodworking. They ticked up, and I don't know, I would prefer 4.22 if I was going to take a trade here in the micro. I'm not sure that they're ever going to give me that, though. I could hit 217, but then, you know, it's not a very good entry. It could be the thing if they're going to break out here, but I want to be in the lower end of the range. That means I want to be in like 22, half 22. So somewhere above 4.22. Oh, well. So meanwhile, yesterday, so much drama yesterday. So much drama on the internet yesterday. It's been a while since we've had this much good quality, juicy drama. This is like my favorite kind of drama. It's like it's around people that I don't really care about. You know, it's not anything that directly affects me or directly disappoints me. So there was two things. One was that, well, and I guess the second one is kind of like, has been going on for 2 days and I just didn't hear about it until yesterday. But P. Diddy got like raided or something. Like they went and raided his properties over an investigation surrounding sex trafficking, I believe. And P. Diddy has fled the country. What? That's a little crazy. And meanwhile, 50 Cent apparently has been on Twitter, like giving us the play-by-play like a real news outlet, which is kind of funny. It's like, okay, right? Okay, and then the other one. Were we talking about this guy? I feel like we were talking about this guy. I don't know if I was talking about him on stream or if it was like just somebody in real life also. But Alex Huberman, have you seen this thing with Alex Huberman? Holy crap, guys. Because there's always been, everybody's kind of like, who is this guy? And he's just kind of gained a lot of prominence on the podcast circuit, let's say, right? And I don't know what it is about him. It's just everybody, there's some sort of vibe that's like, what's the deal with this guy? There's going to be drama with this guy in the future. It just doesn't seem, something doesn't seem right. I really like, because he is trying to be evidence-based. He gives a lot of evidence-based information. He also kind of goes off the beaten path and says things that aren't really evidence-based and makes it seem like it's evidence-based, but I don't know. We'll make those mistakes as people, right? We'll make those mistakes as people. But apparently, so this story came out in the New Yorker, and apparently this guy has been leading on 5 different women at the same time. So like all 5 of the women thought that they were in a serious relationship with him, and I mean like a serious relationship, like that maybe we would have a baby soon and that sort of a thing, right? And the whole time he was just leading all of them on. And eventually the women kind of figured it out and created like a self-help group for themselves. But oh my gosh. So I see a lot of people online minimizing it. Hold on. Do I want this? I want this. I'm gonna take it. So a lot of people have been saying like, oh, it's not a big deal, you know, like there's rich, famous people do this sort of thing all the time, right? But I don't think that's the case. I think he's done. Fred says I like that guy. There's a lot of things I liked about him, but I think he's done. I think he's done because like the whole thing is he's not like a sports star or a businessman. Like these people we expect to have, you know, scandals, relationship scandals all the time, and it can even kind of help them in some instances. But the difference with this one is that Alex Huberman is really kind of more of like a self-help guru. And well, his content is kind of based in personal health. It also extends to the psychological realm. Like he talks a lot about you know, how important it is to maintain the relationships that you have with other people and that sort of a thing, right? So like the mistake that he has made, if we're going to call it a mistake, is directly strikes at the core of his content and exposes him as a hypocrite. And oh, you were talking about the prime. I forgot. I even said that comment like a long time ago. You guys need to leave more, you know, just kind of like, you know, throwaway comments in here just so that we can kind of keep track of the time. You know what I mean? Because I'll come in here, you're all enjoying what I'm saying, and I know you're listening. So I can look at the numbers, and I know you guys because you're here every day, right? So I know you're listening, but there's no feedback, and so like I'll go on like a 5-minute discussion, right? And then go back over into chat and look at it and think that the last comment had to do with like what I was just talking about when it was actually about the previous. And I do that I catch myself all the time. And that was probably the worst case where I didn't really catch it, wasn't it? That was pretty bad. No, anyways, Huberman, he's done. And then the other thing is that he lied and manipulated these women for like months and years and stuff. That was bad. That's bad. I'm sure that like he'll still be around. He'll probably make money. He might, you know, some people might still listen to him. But like he was turning into like a household name to some extent. No, he's done now. If I feel what I want to add is opinionated, I won't. Why would you not? You are like the only one, Paul. I think you're the only one here on this stream that feels that. Maybe not, but I feel like, well, I would hope that this is a place where like we get to talk about strong opinions and kind of like battle it out. Aren't these adult? Yeah, well, they were adult women. Do they bear no responsibility? Well, I would think that what I would say to that is that the women did eventually figure it out, right? The women did eventually figure it out. So it does kind of seem to me that he targeted a specific type of person that was a little bit vapid. But like, let's not blame the victim here, right? The women almost certainly have their own issues, but that says nothing about, you know, should Huberman be left off the hook or something like that? Absolutely not, right? Like, I really think, man, it could just be that it's Reddit. A lot of things, man, when you're looking at, you know, what people say on Reddit, kind of hard to judge, right? Because Reddit tends to think a certain way on certain issues, right? But his subreddit was like apocalyptic. They were so upset by it, because I think that the subreddit about him was kind of mixed. There was the people that kind of started with it and were really full-blooded believers, fans of the guy. And then, more recently, as he's become more popular, there's been a bunch of skeptics. And so I've been seeing his subreddit come up on my For You or front page on Reddit for some reason. I had no idea who he was until everyone started talking about this. Really? The reason that I know about him is because it shows me on TikTok all the time. Actually, you know what I think it is even though his content isn't about this sort of a thing, he, I think, fell into the category of like right-wing content creator. But which is to say that more right-wing people tended to like his content. Because so the Cliff Notes is basically like he is a researcher at Stanford, I think it is. He's a health researcher at one of these prestigious universities, and he has tons of info. Hi, there's Medsum with the high acuity every morning. Thank you so much. He's jacked, so right wing. Yeah, well, so his whole thing was like, you probably have some sort of nutritional deficiency that's holding you back, is what he would always say. So a lot of the content that he goes into that people get interested in is, okay, some people have this mother effer gene, and it means that they cannot convert folate. And we have so much folate, it's like enriched in all of our food. And so if you have that issue, then, it's not very good for your health. And so all you have to do is supplement yourself with the what your body does with folate, with, that thing that turns into, I forget what it's called. And then you'll feel better, right? Or he has all this stuff about, he has one episode about if you have ADHD, here are supplements that will help you with ADHD. And a lot of it is supplements, exercise routines, fasting. I think that he was one of the big pushers of the ice bath thing, right? So and then he was on the Joe Rogan podcast. He was on the who's the other like interviewer guy? It's a really young guy, and for some reason he's interviewed all these famous people and nobody understands how. Alex Friedman, something like that, right? He's been on all of these podcasts, right? And so then you get people taking the clips of those. Yeah, Lex Friedman, that's right, Lex. So then, people are taking those clips and putting them on YouTube Shorts and TikTok and all of that, and then that's how he like slowly became, started to enter into the collective consciousness, right? So some people will say that it is a political witch hunt. I don't think that that's the case, because it's just kind of one of those funny things that's like his content is not explicitly political. It's not like the way that it is with Jordan Peterson, for instance, right? But it tends to appeal to right-wing people, right? Okay. So then the New Yorker did this article, and I gotta warn you, if you go and find the New Yorker article, it's like a 45-minute read. It is a long article. It's one of those articles that's, that happens with a lot of these kind of high-minded magazines, where all of the information could probably be packed into a couple of paragraphs, but for some reason, they're making it for people that, like to read and are looking to waste a little bit of time reading. And so it's this big long thing, and there's all of these interesting anecdotes in the middle, and of course there's tons of information packed into it as well, but it's a long read. Okay, just warning you. But it goes through and it starts documenting like the relationships that it had with these women, and then the women like slowly figure out that like, oh, anecdote. Okay, thanks. That's too sophisticated of a word for us here in Utah. Anecdote. Anyways, it's going through these relationships that it has with their women, and it's always like, oh, he wasn't very reliable. We were going to do this thing, and he said he was going to be there. Oh, I'm late. Oh, and then he doesn't even show up. And so he was it kind of just sounds like your typical, emotionally unavailable guy kind of a relationship, right? But then as it goes along, it kind of gets a little bit more sinister, because what happens is he keeps saying all of the right things, like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm going to work on this, right? And then does things that makes it seem like the relationship is progressing. Like, oh, let's freeze some of your embryos so that we can have kids later, for instance, right? So, one of the women thought that they were going to have a child together. And then eventually these women find each other and figure out that he's been seeing all 5 of them at the same time. Five girls. Right? And it wasn't just like with Tiger Woods, right? Tiger Woods a good comparison, where it was like when that stuff came out about Tiger Woods, everyone was like, oh, I can't believe that Tiger Woods is like that. And everybody's like, well, but if you were the big sports star that Tiger Woods was, and you had women throwing themselves at you all the time, wouldn't you have a ton of one night stands and things like that too? And it was kind of made sense. Yeah, the rich guys, they tend to do that sort of a thing, right? But this thing was he was really manipulating and lying to these women to keep this facade going forever and ever and ever. Really, really kind of actually chilling psychopathic type stuff. I don't understand, though. If he was a woman, New York Magazine would write 100 pages on how that's the ideal woman. Maybe. They might not write as long of an article. I don't know. I tell you what, I've definitely seen a lot of weird stuff. Quality of media just isn't what it is. There's still some talented writers out there, but it's you're a talented writer, and then you also have to have good content. And so it's very rare that you get an investigative journalist like that that's a really good writer, writes a really long expose, entertaining article that also has some socially relevant stuff in it. But anyways, it's kind of chilling though, because the thing that tipped me off to it at first, because on Reddit, when I went on the subreddit, man, the people in that subreddit, so many of them were upset about it. There were a lot of people that were like, oh, I was he was my favorite content creator, and they were just eating up every piece of content that he had. So Alex Huberman was a big part of their life. Just for you guys, I mean, you're here every morning. I'm a big part of your life. It seems kind of weird to say, but it's a part of your daily routine. That's a big thing. If all of the sudden came out that I was having affairs with tons, with X different women at the same time, I think it would be pretty devastating. Promise I'll never do that, but that's kind of the comparison you have to think about for these people, right? And the problem is that okay, well, I could talk about trading, but he was in self-help, and so a lot of these people were changing their routines, what they ate, how they exercise, their approach to relationships because of this guy, and then it turns out to be just a complete farce. Just crazy. And he was getting quite popular, so it was really quite extreme drama. And like I said, there is this kind of pseudo political element to it too. If I don't put YouTubers on a pedestal, if any given YouTuber I'm sub to were suddenly outed as a diddler, I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, but let's try and find an equivalent example involving me, okay? What's the worst thing that I could do? I don't know. I'm not perfect, okay, but my issues have more to do with I'm just not as diligent as I want to be. I want to do work, and then sometimes it just doesn't happen, right? I have kids. Raising kids is super, super hard. I don't think that I'm the most understanding person, so my doing things correct? Well, it's like one way of doing things. Some people would probably disagree with it. I yell at my kids a lot. I yell at my 4-year-old a lot because he is autistic AF, and like yelling at the top of my lungs is like the only thing that he seems to understand. And then he cries a little bit, and then, you know, come back, and that's okay. We still love you. You're still safe. Okay, that would be the sort of thing, if I ever had a scandal, it would have to be something like that, right? But let's say, for instance, that a scandal came out that said that I was front running my audience or something like that, right? Like I was pushing a certain asset, and it was only because I already owned it, and then as I'm pushing that asset, I'm selling it to you guys or something like that, right? I think that would be like probably the worst thing that I could do that would be like relevant to the content itself, right? Like if I did that, I think it would undermine everything that we have on this YouTube channel, right? It's like that. That's what it is for those guys. You're small enough that personal drama would probably go unnoticed. Like you're talking less than 30 people at any given. Yeah, it's, you know, so certainly not. Certainly not. I'm just trying to personalize it for you, though, right? Trying to personalize it for you. For some of these audience, drama is something that they eat. It's true. Well, like it is kind of funny. I think that the name Alex Huberman probably more widely known now because of this scandal. But I don't trust him now. I'm kind of thinking back on like all of the content, because that's kind of been one of those ones where it's like, I see the content, it seems interesting to me. I don't know if I actually believe him. I have to go and check myself, sort of a thing, right? But now I'm kind of like, well, I don't trust this guy at all. I don't know if I believe any. Like one of the things was the cold bath. I was like, oh, let's do the cold bath. Everybody says that it like puts these good hormones into your body, and it does kind of age you a little bit, but it also like really helps you recover and keep you young. And I don't know. There's all these reasons why people do the ice baths and everything. I was like, maybe I should try that. But now I'm kind of like, well, now I don't care, because the one person that was talking about it is kind of full of crap. Yeah, if I got divorced, probably nobody would really notice. If Mr. Beast came out as gay, that would be earth-shattering. Dude, that's so funny. Okay, what's the difference between iceberg and absorption? How does someone differentiate between the two on the price ladder? Okay, so that's an interesting question. And my first thing that I would say about that, Mr. Legit, we have to completely, no more Alex Huberman, we have to completely shift to this subject because it's relevant to trading, okay? The first answer is it doesn't matter. Okay, so orders are orders, and orders all have impact, right? So what kind of absorption it was and all of those things, those don't necessarily matter. Okay, but it is still something that we want to understand, because it kind of helps you understand a little bit about the mechanics and how people do things, okay? There is something called a refreshing order, which is to say this is a feature of the exchange. So if you're a certain type of member, then you can create these kinds of orders. It's kind of like you'd come here on your DOM and you would say like, I want to buy, an order, but then you right click on it and, a window pops up here where I can change the quantity and I can change the price and everything, right? But some people on their platform, there's a little box that says refreshing order. And then there's another box that says, how many do I want to show at a time? Okay. So if you have a refreshing order, let's just say that there was a refreshing offer at 22.5 right now. You wanted to sell 5,000 contracts, right? But it will only show 500 at a time. So just there, we saw 528 contracts go into the bid, and it briefly lifted price, and then they added more contracts, okay? That is people explicitly like adding more contracts. In fact, what we saw right there was probably just market making robots saying, oh, okay, here's a good spot for me to get at the front of the line, so I'm going to put more offers out. Okay. But if it is a refreshing order, that is one of these orders that are utilizing the exchange refreshing order feature, you will see all of the volume go into it, and the level 2 will never change. They cannot trade through it because essentially the exchange refreshes the order before anything else ever happens. And so from our perspective, when we're watching, we don't even see a change in the level 2. So if you see tons of contracts going into a price and the level 2 is hardly changing at all, you're seeing hundreds, thousands of contracts go in, and the whole time it's still 500 offer or whatever the deal is, right? That's a refreshing order. And that is like a true quote unquote iceberg. Okay. But here's the thing. One, when you do that, we know for sure, it actually is an iceberg. Like the software can kind of see that and identify it as explicitly an exchange side iceberg because it sees that there was volume and the level 2 did not change corresponding to that volume. So then it's a refreshing order. But so some people kind of want to hide that. Some people don't want to pay the exchange, etc., etc. And so they can do what we would call a synthetic iceberg, which is when their 500 contracts get filled, the software automatically offers another 500 contracts. So in that kind of a situation, you might see them trade through it. You might see it kind of like flash and kind of like blah, 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 blah. I don't know how to explain it. I kind of have like that audio sensory thing where sometimes things that I see kind of have a sound to me, but that's kind of like what I think of it as. It'll be like woo, 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 sort of flashing as they're trying to lift the offer and they just keep adding more to it, right? So that would be like a synthetic iceberg. Now, you can't really differentiate a synthetic iceberg from like, for some reason, a lot of people are just putting offers up there and they just keep putting offers on, right? We wouldn't really be able to tell if it's one guy versus a bunch of different guys, right? Because we don't get like trader IDs associated with every order and stuff like that. So we can't really tell. But you might be able to tell contextually. You might be able to see that like, people are interested in this particular price holding or something like that, right? Is it just me or is the treasury complex getting really thick in the book? I would say yes. The 30 years back over 10, yeah. 1,000 on each side. And we're got 4,000 to 5,000 on each side in ZN. It is thick. So like I said at the beginning of the stream, there is about $32 billion worth of pension and risk parity funds out there that will have to sell that $32 billion of equities and then turn around and buy $32 billion worth of treasuries before the end of the quarter. So in the next 3 days, essentially. And so those pension funds are typically going to go to the block trading desks at like JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs and say, we need to buy X amount. And then those guys are going to turn around and say, okay, so we're going to set an algorithm out there to, gently over time, put a certain amount of volume into the market. And when they do those sorts of things, they like to also provide some liquidity because that seems to help. And if they can do about half of their volume through limit orders, that's good as well. And so I think that that's what you're seeing here, is that there are a lot of those big players at work in the market today. And so the book is pretty thick. I'm going to bet you that when we get into April, that, it will probably go back down a little bit. Probably go back down a little bit. I gotta say though, it's been an awfully tight range. The flows have been long, but it's very slight, and there has not been a whole lot of activity. This little downtick right here has been like the most significant move we've had in the last 30 minutes. I've kind of been anticipating that they will buy in the end, but it's just super tight. Now, I'm a little bit suspicious about this move. Like, and I would be a little bit suspicious if it seemed a little bit too significant on the upside as well, just because like it has been super slow, but we know that there are people out there that have to execute stuff. So they're probably a little bit frustrated, right? And it wouldn't surprise me to see them kind of pull shenanigans where they kind of let it move in a certain direction to try and get more stir up liquidity, right? They kind of need a few more market orders and people getting off sites in order to do anything, it seems. Okay, from my point of view, an iceberg absorbs at only one tick, while absorption in general might be at multiple ticks close together with a lot of stacking and backticking in a close range of ticks. Well, so yeah, I would maybe call it absorption if it happened across multiple prices. And when you are looking at the E-mini, you know, you're always going to see that. Seeing a really huge iceberg at one price that's super clear in the S&P 500, not very common. It tends to absorb across a range of prices. And maybe that happens to some extent in the treasuries too, especially if there was like, you know, there was like a key break and then they absorb against that break and it reverses sort of a thing. You are going to see that absorption across multiple prices, right? But the key thing to answer Mr. Legit's question is that all orders have impact, right? So we want to understand like why is that order placed? Because that might help us predict future orders, right? But in terms of like, why is the market moving the way that it is or the way that it did? We can always see that just because we can look at the orders and the orders have the same impact regardless of what the intent behind them was, right? So if somebody is buying because, or if somebody is selling because they're afraid of inflation, and we think that's a big macroeconomic call, they're trying to predict the future, except like that should really, be reflected. That's a informational content that we want reflected in our price. Whereas somebody needs to buy a ton of treasuries because it's quarter end rebalancing for their pension fund. Like there's no informational content about the economy in that. So traditional economics says, oh, the market sees that volume and discounts it somehow. It knows and is able to maintain the perfectly efficient price regardless, right? But that's actually not true at all. All of the orders have an impact. And so if we're really going to get that much buying in the treasuries, and I do think we will, this is kind of a question of how it's going to play out. That is going to be a force that's going to have a tendency to move us up. And it just depends on who's on the other side and what are what are the limit orders and stuff going to be on the other side. But it's always going to have impact. Okay, well, now that they've ticked down, you're seeing about 2,000 contracts go into both the bid and the offer. So that downtick did kind of spur a little bit more activity in the treasuries here. But it's still, I would say, relatively calm and quiet. And it's one tick. Like, that's super crazy that in 45 minutes, we're literally talking about like a one tick range. That's tight. I mean, if we had like over the whole day, it was an 8 tick range, that would be pretty tight for the treasuries. So take from that what you will. Now, let's kind of take a look around here. The S&P 500 has been on a pretty good little run here as of late, but that's mostly a retracement of yesterday's down move. I am seeing a run in Bitcoin at the moment. I'm not really seeing anything else in like gold, currencies, Oil doesn't seem to be doing anything too much. It seems like Bitcoin is just pumping on its own. So Bitcoin right now, the most significant thing that's happening in the market. Don't let it fool you though. So no news Wednesdays can be really, really quiet, but Wednesdays also tend to execute a lot of volume, and we are like towards the end of the month and the end of the quarter and all of that. So this might be one of those situations where they kind of trick you into thinking that it's going to be really tight, and then you'll see the volume. And maybe that's good for them. Maybe the liquidity stays high, and so all of that volume is able to trade and execute, but it doesn't move price that much. I guess that would be good for those people that have to sell all of these equities and buy the treasuries. And I'm sure that there's plenty of buy the dip people over here in the S&P 500. So I don't know. In this situation, I think that it's a pretty good reason to buy the treasuries, but I don't know if it's a very good reason to sell equities. You know, there's going to be so many people looking to buy the dip. I'm still kind of laughing in my head about Mr. Beast is gay. I don't think he is. I think that at some point Mr. Beast will have children. You know, here's what's going to happen. I'm still kind of in on this super speculative theory that I have, which is that certain key millennial influencers will start to have children, and then all of the millennials all at once will want to have kids. No, I know you weren't saying he was gay, but it was still funny the way that you, like, if he came out as gay, I don't think that anybody would be surprised. I'm not saying that, like, there's something about him or his behavior or something like that seems gay. I'm saying that, like, it just seems kind of like classically stereotypical for the most popular YouTube influencer out there to come out in some way, right? It does seem kind of. So that's why I thought it was funny. It's kind of coming back here a little bit, but the ZN is having a hard time lifting that offer, and ZB is down a little bit. That does kind of suggest spreading, but I haven't seen too much change in the spread. I'm not too sure if there's actually a spread trade going on here. If there was, I think that it would probably continue to be steepening though. They will come out as gay after having children. Well, that happens too. I don't know. So my wife was telling me about this, and this was her own theory, but she sounded pretty serious, because you got to remember, you probably won't remember, but her first marriage was with a gay man. Like, she knew going into it that he was gay, and they were like, oh, but we love each other and we're going to make it work. Right. And, you know, it's actually a thing in the LDS community where a guy is gay, but they still get married and have children and try to be a good Mormon. And then eventually they can't handle their urges or whatever, and they leave the church. This is a common thing. But she said that for some reason, when you have the kids, it like a lot of gay people, that's like when they fall apart. Like that's when they start breaking, and you know, eventually the marriage dissolves, and etc. etc. This is after you have the kids. So when you were talking about that thing that's like, yeah, they'll have the children and then they'll come out. Apparently it is a thing for some reason. Hey, we did get the uptick. That's because that's when it becomes real. I think you're right. You know, I'm not going to say that this is like a LGBT community thing, but it certainly is a thing within the LGBT community, but I think it's kind of a thing more broadly with millennials and the generations after that in particular, that like we have a hard time like identifying with other people, relating to other people is probably better word. We have a hard time relating to other people, especially other people that are different from us. And I think that men and women in the millennial generation, for instance, have a harder time understanding each other than perhaps generations past. And that's especially true when, you haven't even been in a relationship with a woman, right? And I think that plays into it a lot. So once you have kids, all of a sudden it becomes a real thing, and you don't understand this other person. It's a really scary thing, and people run away from it. I think that, millennials aren't having as many children, and they'll come out and they'll say like, well, but the reason we're not doing it is because we don't have enough money. The cost of living is too high. We don't want to bring children into this terrible, terrible world. We're concerned about there being too many people in the future and climate change and all of. I think that those are all excuses. I think that those are all excuses to kind of get around the fact that they just, it's too scary from an emotional perspective because they can't relate. They can't relate and to people that are different and that are having experiences that are different from them. They can't put themselves in that mind and how might they perceive that, and that, so being that close to somebody and not understanding them is so terrifying that they don't do it. Let's see here. Not all men react good to a pregnancy. I understand. Well, yeah. And I like the, another weird thing about it is that like both men and women experience hormonal changes when the woman is pregnant. Like the men change too. I changed too. It's a weird thing. Not that they don't exist, but the monogamous gay couple who settle down and adopt a kid is by far away the exception to the rule. Oh, yeah, sure. Okay, I get what you're saying. Kids don't ruin a lot of marriages. They weren't good for each other already, is my penny. Stops being about you when you have kids. For some reason, that isn't an option for you to have in your life. All the deadbeats, yes. But I think part of it is also, like, again, a lot of millennials kind of use what they see on social media and so forth as the guide to what they can relate to. So if all of the sudden Taylor Swift was having kids and was posting a lot of content about her kids, I guarantee you the birth rate would be through the roof. If Taylor Swift had children and she posted social media content about them, I think you want to kind of keep your life private. So I don't think that she would post a ton, but she would probably post something when she had the baby. She would maybe talk about having children. She might make songs about having children because she makes her music about what she's doing. And so if that's what she's doing, right? Yeah. And I think that a lot of more people would start having kids because then they would get it. Then they would get it. And like that's the big thing that I have to say, like to the left right now. So you have to understand our friends on the left, because we need each other. I think that you need conservative people and you need left-leaning people. And there are some real kind of evidence that your personality has a lot to do with which party you tend to identify with and things like that. Of course, there's exceptions and stuff, but and a lot of people might be in a party just because that's a popular thing in that region. But there is also a very strong personality component to it, right? But when you look at the left right now, it is primarily single, and especially single women. And I'm just telling you, man, it should really be a huge red flag to you that the people that have had these other, life experiences that everybody it tends to experience, but a large swath of people haven't because of demographic changes and stuff like that, that those people think so differently about things should be like a big warning to you that there's something with my worldview, right? There's something that I'm missing that I can't see that would change my worldview if I had experienced it, but I haven't experienced it yet. That should be concerning to you. Britney Spears had kids and it didn't change anything? Actually, that's a really good counterpoint. Let me think about that one. But I don't ever remember seeing there be like, yeah, she had kids and I don't ever remember anybody talking about it. I don't ever remember even hearing she's pregnant and like, here's all of the paparazzi pictures of her being, was that a thing? I missed it? Probably was a thing and I missed it. There's kind of an argument that she had kids long after her popularity had dwindled. It was a huge thing. This is what I say. It's not like, oh no, more kids is like a huge growing percentage of loneliness and fear to even date, etc. I do remember Federline. I do remember that thing, yes. Yeah, you know what? It's actually, okay, so one thing that does stick out to me in my mind was that Britney Spears' relationships weren't really very successful, were they? I really feel, to be honest with you, that Britney Spears had a lot of her life stolen from her. You know? Like, first there was that whole thing, you seen that documentary with her dad, you know, was really just wanted the money and, you know, put her under a conservatorship and that sort of a thing, right? But then there's this other thing that's like when you're in your 20s and you're on your own and there's certain struggles that you have in your 20s that kind of go a long way towards changing your emotional maturity and that sort of a thing. And because she became so famous at a young age, I don't think that she fully got those experiences, right? So then when she was out to getting married, like she didn't have that. I think that maybe she has it now. She seems a lot wiser, but I don't know. I still kind of see some things in her that kind of seem a little bit immature, right? But I don't think that Taylor Swift is quite the same. I think that Taylor Swift has done a lot of dumb things, and there's been a lot of dumb drama around Taylor Swift. Sometimes I do kind of wonder if she's just a narcissist that wants the attention, you know? But another part of me thinks, well, the Taylor Swift brand is so put together, so it would be incredibly off-brand of Taylor Swift to get married, have kids, and then for her family life to just completely fall apart. I think that would be off-brand for Taylor. Could be wrong. Probably will be wrong. You come back 5 years from now, you know, save this. You're gonna go save this to a video. You know, you can stitch now, right? What is it? Stitch. You can trim. You can make trims. Make a trim of this clip so that we can see in 10 years when Taylor Swift has kids and gets divorced and everything, and throw it in my face, because that's probably what's gonna happen. But it seems to me like it would be off-brand of her. Hearing someone talk about their trauma or their mental illness unsolicited is like running a red hot soldering iron into my ears, and so many people do it. Well, because I think that everybody feels like that they're alone. Like, it seems really common to me that if you're in a, like, let's say a group conversation especially, and somebody expresses a certain feeling, and let's just say that it's something super mild, right? Something super mild. Oh, I hate it when X thing happens, or whatever the deal is, right? And so you want to receive that validation. Like, oh yeah, I really hate it when that thing happens too. But it seems to me that, like, even if the group does that and gives the person validation, they don't act like that they received the validation. You know what I mean? It's like that need, that dopamine that you're supposed to get from everybody, you know, bonding with you and everything, like it doesn't come. And then and a lot of people are like this. It's like, again, I feel that a lot of millennials aren't able to relate to people very well because like their own social skills are just so bad. And you would think that like with them coming into their 40s that they would have that figured out, but maybe they're not. And either a cultural phenomenon or maybe just the clock ticking, you know, gets a lot of millennials into marriage and having kids later in their life. A lot of people seem to think that that's it's going to happen. I don't know if it actually will, but it's a really weird thing. But I'm just putting it out there. There could be a big boom from millennial babies because of some bizarre social phenomenon. Honestly, somebody could engineer it, right? You get some billionaire pays Taylor Swift to say, hey, Taylor, you know, like you did get married. I know you're going to have kids, so I want you to post about having the kids. We'll pay you to do that, right? So that other people will have kids, to encourage other people to have kids. Could totally be a thing. China needs to flip the algorithm on TikTok. I think, you know, this is just a conspiracy theory, right? It seems to me that TikTok intentionally pushes that kind of content, especially content that is like men versus women, etc. Right? It wants to push that kind of stuff for some reason. Even like relationship advice sort of stuff always seems to be very adversarial in nature from what I see on TikTok. Right? And is that China intentionally trying to pit Americans against each other? I mean, that's a conspiracy theory, but I do believe that. I can't prove that. I don't have evidence for it, but I do think that is the case. But on the split side, I don't think that YouTube is intending to do that sort of a thing, but it seems to be the end result anyways, because you know, like it creates engagement. So I don't know. If they shifted the algorithms to start pushing family stuff, would people change? Maybe. I would think that it maybe would have to be a little bit more complicated than that, right? Because I think that there needs to be, for that to happen, I'm not saying that this is what our society needs necessarily, but I'm just saying for that to happen, I think that there would need to be kind of like a social movement towards in-person relationships again. The in-person relationships have been harmed so much by the pandemic, and a lot of the kinds of groups and organizations, like everybody's starting from square one after the pandemic, especially millennials. So, you know, I think that people would have to be getting out and talking to a lot more people first. Wow. So there was a big block buy-in there, and 9,000 contracts hit into 23, and they were not able to lift the offer at 23, and it then ticked down again. Our problem is engagement is good because it's engagement and not because it is good. Yes. I believe, it's this again, Seth's theory. I believe that a lot of the social phenomenons that we are seeing in our society today are basically the results of machine learning algorithms and artificial intelligence being misapplied. We came in and we said, oh, hey, we can use this algorithm to decide what to show people on YouTube's For You page. And so we're going to optimize our algorithm to try and optimize the amount of time that people spend on our website, and that will make us the most money. And so that model overfits to that, and then you get all of these crazy things. It overfits to that, and so how crazy the thumbnail is a huge part of it. You know, it optimizes towards certain kind of content. And it so over optimizes to it that like in the long run, it may actually not be good for it. You know, might not be good for the website. It's certainly not good for people. And people are realizing, hey, this isn't good for us. But they haven't kind of picked up on that, like it's a misuse of the algorithms, you know? I'm such a salty about this because my online engagement is limited to this stream, essentially. Oh, thank you so much. I don't even talk to other people online at all, except for here. I really miss the old internet. Because on the old internet, to me, was like getting together with the same group of guys and playing a video game every Friday and Saturday night. And, you know, going to the forums every day and arguing, but, you know, with the same group of people and having like history with people and stuff like that. And then freaking Dig and Reddit came along and just like plowed all of that away. And now it's just like this ever changing sea of voices, and you're never going to see any one person ever again. And it completely shifts it, right? Now, instead of being part of a individual community, you're just always in a big city crowd. And like, so people approach things completely differently, and it's not nearly as fun. Now, yeah, Discord does a good job at it, but even Discord. So the problem with Discord, I don't know about you guys. Tell me if this is your experience with Discord. If you look down the left side of my Discord, look at how many different Discords I'm in. Right? Like there's like 3 pages of Discords that I've joined, right? The futures trading one is the only one that I come in and I check almost every message that comes through here, right? The rest of them are kind of there for like when I'm thinking about it, that's there and I can go back to it, you know? And so Discord has become, most people are just idle there and not actually participating. It's a great place to build a community like that, but I don't think that most people actually are using it that way. Ayapal says I have 4 channels and Bookmap. I think with Bookmap and you are 3. I don't know. I have some issues with Discord in general, though, too. If there was a better solution to Discord, I would switch just because I really don't like the way that they do some of their moderation and so forth. This is a very interesting action in the treasury. I mean, it's been super tight. There was a lot of volume buying through there. They were not able to lift the bid. Now you're seeing a ton of stuff sell into 22 and they're not able to take it through the offer. And it does kind of look like that's going to hold them. They're going to tick back up again. I miss Yahoo. Yeah, I remember talking to people a lot on like Yahoo Messenger, ICQ, MSN Messenger, etc. Hey, they ticked back up. There's a decent bid follows it too. Part of the problem is it's just hard to get people in person, especially when you get older. My portfolio is spiking up hard, says Uzi. Well, the S&P 500 had a pretty good run going up into the open, but you know what? It's been doing that a lot lately, where they rally it into the open, but then by the end of the day, it fizzles out. I'm gonna bet you it happens again today. Like, I'm gonna bet you that there's decent amount of selling equities into the close today, just like it was yesterday, and it'll do the same things Thursday and Friday because there's a lot of money that has to rebalance here. It will be an opportunity to buy the dip, but I think that. So the next few days will be great opportunities for us to study the passive flows, because that's probably what's going to dominate the market here for the rest of this week. Okay, now it's almost 5,000 by 5,000 on the inside. That's your biggest gainer is AT&T, really? Then now that is funny, man. Wait, how much is it up? Let's see. Let's go to Koifin, because I have that on that list, don't I? You're hitting into that offer again. Yeah, utilities. 1.51%. Wow. That is really big for a company like AT&T. Intel is up almost 3% today too. That's pretty major too. All of the dogs, actually several dogs are up over 1% today. Verizon. Now, why are telecoms doing so well today? Walgreens. New York Community Bank up 2.5%, Zions Bank up 2.12%. So those regional banks are doing really well today. ConocoPhillips down, but only just barely. Anything else interesting? Sleep numbers up big again today, 7%. Man, that one's really volatile for some reason. SMR having an update finally, 22%. Reddit down 7%. Reddit had a really good rally yesterday. So there's this guy, what is his name? 3NB, I think it is, and he will make YouTube shorts and TikToks valuing stocks. I think he does a really good job. I mean, it's a pretty simple, straightforward valuation of companies, but he does a good job looking at here's how they make money, and here's the valuation numbers and everything, and here's what I think about it. So I was very, very interested to see what he was going to say about the Reddit IPO. And after they IPO'd, he did them, and he gave them a 1, which is it's from 1 to 5, right? So that's the worst. He gave them the worst recommendation he could give. It was kind of like, interesting. Because I've kind of been like, well, I don't really know. The evaluation seems too fuzzy to me to understand. I don't know if that's his YouTube channel, but yeah, if you search for 3MB on TikTok, you'll find him on TikTok. Of course, he's one of those, it happens to all of us in the financial space, but there are so many accounts trying to like parody, or not parody, but like, run scams off of pretending to be him. So be careful about that. But okay, so I have to go back. You don't have to know asked, is news priced in? That sounds like a Salim comment. But no, it's not. I mean, it can be. But the reality is that the market tries to price things in, but ultimately it can't, because how far it goes is a function of the amount of volume that goes into it. And so the amount of volume that wants to trade or doesn't want to trade any particular piece of information is never going to exactly equal the amount that would be needed for that thing to actually be 100% correctly priced in. So they've done a lot of studies about this, where they look at a piece of economic information that should have a pretty clear impact on something, and then they see, okay, does it go to the price that it's supposed to? And they find that it always goes too far or not far enough, right? So the market tries to price things in, but ultimately it is just a function of the orders that went into it. Valuation is simple. Oh, I don't know about that. Can be a complicated thing. The thing that's really interesting about doing the fundamental analysis like that is you could come up with like a discounted cash flow kind of model for stocks, right? But that's not going to be good enough, because each company has a different kind of business, and you have to factor in the different assets that they hold and the different cash flows that they have, and kind of do all that math. So you can have like a different spreadsheet for each industry about how to calculate, what you think a fair valued price is. And there's lots of different ways that people will do the valuation. So it's actually a very sophisticated topic. We could probably make a whole YouTube channel and there you talked about it. Here's somebody that does, yeah. You have a whole YouTube channel just about valuing stocks. And then even then, just remember that the market's not informationally efficient. So like it's pretty efficient on a 3 to 5 year time period, but 3 years is a long time, folks. Well, Bitcoin was having a really strong pump and somebody just cut them down. I think that somebody saw that pump kind of coming and decided that was a good opportunity for them to get out, because it's just dropping like a rock back to where it started. So this sort of thing is a little frustrating because I feel like the market plays games with me, right? It's like, well, they're not like really selling off, but they're kind of playing with between 22.5 and 22 instead of between 22.5 and 23, where I would prefer, right? Like they're trying to squeeze me out. I don't think I've ever seen a market this tight, though. Like, I can remember sessions where it was a 4-tick range for the whole session. This has been basically like a 2-tick, 3-tick range for the whole session. And there is real volume coming through. Like, we've had 20,000 contracts long since 7 o'clock Eastern time come into the 10-year treasury, for instance. So it's not that there's not volume in the instrument. Let's see here. BOJ, MFA, FSA hold emergency meeting. Oh, I didn't realize that was an emergency meeting. Okay. Thought I saw something there, but it's still where it was. The 30-year is maybe toying with the top end of its range. Maybe if the 30-year decides to tick up, that we might get what I want. Okay, so you know what's an interesting thing to me? Reddit, the subreddits that Reddit recommend to you are super weird, right? So like I've been looking up a lot of stuff with Linux lately just because I've been trying to up my command line game, I guess you could say, and I find it fun to just be like in the zone and just typing away, right? So now Reddit starts showing me the Linux sucks community. Okay. Do we have time to backtest the strategy today? Might. What do we want to backtest? Well, it did tick back up there. That's good. But we need the 30-year to tick 26. What we could do is you could explain the strategy to me, and then I could not backtest it and just say that's probably not going to work, and then we could pretend that it would give you probably the same end result, right? Either way, I'm going to tell you, I probably wouldn't trade this. Very simple. Okay. I'm kind of afraid that this could like move, could like slip. So gotta kind of keep my mouse close over here, but. Go long one contract with 15-point stop loss, take profit. If stopped out, immediately short 2 contracts for 15. Oh, that's interesting. So that would be a little bit more complicated than standard. I think we could do it. I already have a strategy that kind of does that, but then we would just need to add the stop and reverse part about it. Tick back up. But I think I would need to do on position update and then say if my position was closing, put in the opposite order. Yeah, for some reason I'm a little hesitant to completely divide my attention here, when this is a situation where it should be like easy to look away because it's just not moving. So the first thing is I want to go and pull, because I have a strategy. I saved it from my old PC. See my old PC, look at how many, just look at how many folders I have, let alone the number of like overall strategies that I made. Okay, but here's 2. There's time entry and time entry 2. What's the difference between them? I see. Okay, so this is interesting because these ones, what they do is they look for a specific time and then they decide to go long or short at that time based on indicators and things like that, or like whether we're up on the session or down on the session. You're saying just go long, and then if you get stopped out, immediately reverse. I see kind of a couple of issues with a strategy like that, but let's do it. So the issue that I see with a strategy like that is that the results that you're going to get are going to be mostly about that the S&P 500 has a tendency to go long, right? But let's see what we can work out here. I'm going to keep it down here. I want to be able to continue seeing my micro treasury here. So we're going to call this new strategy, time, stop, and reverse. Generate. Okay, so if... Oh, actually, I shouldn't have closed all of that stuff because I did need to get the little selectors about, you know, to choose the time, essentially. Oops. Seeing a lot of flickering, but it's just not moving. Okay, so we want this start time thing. And this bit right here. Down tick again. Current is time is 0. Today's open time, and then we say all of this stuff. Except for this right here. Let's take that back and use
Block cell.
Oh, ouch. Ouch. That was a pretty, but they seem to be buying back. I don't know if I have to panic yet, but that didn't look too good. Like, well, Seth's is looking away a little bit. Maybe we can make our move now. S&P 500 is selling there, though. There we go. Yeah. Enter long. And then we also want these things right here. So we have set stops and targets, right? And I will come and make into some new properties here. Oops. Actually, this needs to be a double. Okay. Do you sell bro hack SP 500? Nope, not typically not. Okay, so this is the simple case. I'm not doing the stuff in the first part yet. Just testing to see that what we got there was correct. Okay. Looks like they recovered that 22. Time stop and reverse. R factor. Hey, what did you say? R factor will be 1. With a 15 point. So you want 60 ticks. 50 ticks, and you want the time to be what? 1301. 1301 Eastern time? Eastern time. Okay, so 11 o'clock my time. Yes. Bro hack SP, I wish. Okay. 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 Interesting. That although the last 3 days we've been down, so it's lost, but I don't know. You get updates 52.54% of the time, so that's kind of cool. Okay. So now this is where it gets funky. I mean, I think it's on position update. So I think we want this bit of code right here. Okay. And so if position dot let's see here. Let me double check here. You will not receive position updates for manual orders. Best practice to only work with the past by value parameters. That makes sure you process each change. Rhythmic. When using Ninja, is best practice to work only with the data passed from on execution. Maybe we need on execution update. So I think that I want if market position dot if market position equals market position dot flat and position equals market position dot long, then enter short. I think that's what I want to do. Let's check and see if it works. Pick back up. I don't know, something interesting kind of happened there, but it's still tight. Do you have one? Nope. I have like $1,000 in my account right now. Strategy. Now let's see if it gives me any shorts. No, it does not. Why would you ask me if I live in Dubai? That's kind of a weird question, bro. Well, that's taking quite a bit longer for a 3-month time period. So despite it falling down there a little bit, I'm still seeing the flows tilted slightly to the long side. Oh, yeah. Okay, we'll switch it to NQ. I have it expressed in terms of stop and R factor, which means R factor will be like how big my win is compared to my loser. So one says that my winner and my loser are equal. Seems like that's taking a long time. I think that that's probably not working. Let's see this Ninja Trader example here. Do you support LGBT? Define support. Are you Salim? Are you trying to bait me into controversial conversations and stuff? I think I should say I support people, not ideologies. I support specific policy proposals, not ideologies. So when you ask me, do you support this ideology? I'm going to say, no, I generally no. I don't, that's not to say that I'm opposed to the ideology necessarily. Some ideologies I am opposed to, like wokeness. I wouldn't say that I'm opposed to LGBTQ ideology, and I do kind of view it as an ideology. I guess it's kind of an interesting situation where it's kind of an ideology, and but it's also a group of people. But when you're asking me, do you support X, you must be talking about the ideology, right? If. Oh, okay, that's when they enter long. I do not understand what their code is doing here. Okay. So I think that what they're doing here on order update is just making sure that it doesn't do anything. And then it looks at the execution, and then it says if entry order is not null, an entry order equals an execution. And it was filled. Submit exit orders. Everything dead this week more exactly, dude. Today is like super weird, tight for sure. I've never seen the market be both this dead and this tight, you know. Like usually when it's this dead, it's like there's just like nothing going on and it trades in this tight range, but there's actually a lot going on, and it's just really tight. So that's an unusual situation. Kind of messing with our trade. I do not like the way that they're doing that, because I think for our backtest it should be able to just do but maybe I can use this stuff. Maybe I can say on execution update, some of their logic they have here is a little bit like overly complicated for what we need to do. What is entry order? Oh, I see. They're still buying. See them hitting into that iceberg 22.5. I think we got the flows correct today. It's just not, we're just not getting paid for it. NQ jumped like 300. Did it really drop that far? I mean, NQ did the equities did drop, but the treasuries are being unusually tight today. Let me minimize that. On order update and then on execution update. Right here. If stop order does not equal null and stop order equals execution order. So where does stop order get set? Oh, I see. What happened? Did I just crash NinjaTrader? think I just crashed Ninja Trader, guys. That's funny. No. You still with me, guys? Everything's dying. Oh. We survived. I bet the stream like totally died out there for a second. I bet you that there's a bunch of dropped frames due to rendering lag. Wow. Man, I don't know if I've ever had Ninja Trader crash like that before, where it's just like I tried to move a window and it completely crashed. Like, okay. The thing I love about CN is that when it has a large move, it typically follows that trend, allowing you to add into positions with confidence. It is trendy. I don't know if you can add into positions with confidence. Like it can turn anywhere, right? If you're swinging them, it maybe it's a different story. Okay, so I was gonna say, oh yeah, I have to start over here. Okay. Can I just do it like, if execution dot market position is equal to market position dot flat? Enter short. Well, you can definitely size them. Like if you want to do a sizing into positions thing, ZN is definitely a great place to do it. But I just don't want to give people this impression that like every time I get an uptick, I'm going to enter in another order and that sort of a thing, right? Every lot that you take on, you are taking on more risk. And it can turn just about anywhere. It's an incredibly efficient instrument. If you're playing higher time frame, then it's super trendy. So I'm just going to stick with ES here for now because I should get better data with that and so forth. Okay, so that never triggered. That actually probably shouldn't work. No. I think I actually do have to do all of their stuff here. Okay. I tried to try and simplify it for you guys, but I think that I actually do have to do all of this crap because so that means that I can't use this. And in here, when I set minus, so what is this? That one is a stop order, should be minus stop times tick size. Oops. Plus stop times R factor times tick size. Okay. Okay, so reset our stop order after the position is closed. If stop order does not equal no and stop order equals our order, no, then we need to do something like that. Oh, and I need to add the entry order object. Variable, whatever. There's all this extra logic to handle multiple contracts, but oh wow, compiled. Okay. Won't it short at take profit then? No, because it should only be when the stop is getting updated. Actually, you might be right. Maybe you're right. That's running, is it? Running? No, they already run. No, it should only do it when it's filled. So it should only be printing when it's a stop. It was not taking a short though, which is kind of like, is that code even getting hit? You know, there's something funky about this. It never triggers. What's with that? I don't think it's even doing these correctly because what is there? Do I need something in the on bar update too? Let's try that. Aha. Aha. This one. East plus minus okay. Fingers crossed. That does it. Da-da-da-da. Oh, it's terrible though. Okay, so here's one. It goes long. It gets stopped. Then it goes short and holds it till the session is closed. So that appears to be working the way that it's supposed to. Here's one. It goes long. Here's the reverse. Where's one where it actually makes it? Okay, so here's the one where it gets to the target. I think that this part we need to not do it on the target being hit. All right, that's a part that I had missed, that the logic was doing that. What day was that? March 18th. Okay. Jeez. Okay. There we go. My entry, my target. Okay, got out. So now it's working correctly. Okay, so the first thing is that we want to change it to NQ, right? NQ. Because NQ moves a lot more, and part of the issue that we have here is that our stops and targets are so far in crap. Okay. Still not good, though, my friend. Still not good. Better. I find it interesting that your reverses do better, though. Oh, hey, look, we finally got a tick up at 23. Yay! Bravo. It took the whole session. Guys, the whole session, but we did make one tick on the ZN, huh? Let's give ourselves a good pat on the back. I'm going to say that your strategy doesn't work, but... What do you mean it needs to hedge to on the stop and reverse? That 13K volume that's on the dumb right now has to be suspicious, and that kind of buying is huge. That means there's an even bigger selling feeding it. So I don't know who it is that's selling it, but I think that there is a massive amount of pension funds and so forth that have to buy today. That's why I was long. You double the contract size on the short? Oh, okay. I don't know if that would help you, though. Because the short trades overall were not a winner. if the short trades had a profit in it and then you doubled that and then it would make it, then it would help, right? But let's go all the way back to 2018 first. Hey. Okay, dude. That's not bad. Wait, what is the Sharpe ratio? 0.15. Well, okay. It's better than the one that we did yesterday, isn't it? I think that's better. Let's look at the analysis here. And the drawdowns are pretty steep there. Okay, wait. Oh, okay. This needs to be my reverse entry. And then we can do a second order, right? Oh, actually, let's not do it that way. Let's just say enter short 2 contracts. So we should see on the summary when we backtest this that our short trades increases from 72,000 to 80 something thousand or something like that. Or sorry, 140. 1,400,000. Oh no, 140. Yes. I can't math today. What is with me in orders of magnitude? 70 times 2 is 140. Okay, cool. The Sharpe ratio is still awful. It's making way more on the shorts, and especially considering that it takes a trade every day. Huh. It works. It works, but like terrible Sharpe ratio. And it's very, very specific to the answer. Oh, I did it on ES again. What's wrong with me? NQ. I have to say, Morgan, even though it's not a strategy that I would trade, I'm pretty impressed with that one. I really did not think that was going to come out profitable. So to see once we got all of the little kinks worked out, to see that it was profitable is quite impressive. And the amount that you make is decent as well. That is more than some of these other, like if I come over here and let's see. Of course, this is not like every strategy that I've ever backtested, but if I like sort them here by total net profit, well, okay, it's not the greatest. My vote strategy, I was getting close to 1 million. So you see here some of the strategies that I've been working on. I'm able to get the Sharpe ratio up to like 0.42. I don't think I've ever had one more than. You see the ones that are high are like messed up. These ones where I'm getting the Sharpe ratio up to like 0.91, that's because they're running on daily charts, right? But when you look at like what's the highest 1 minute one, well, that one's not. I don't know how I. Except for that, the total net profit isn't very much. So I don't know what the deal is with that one. Here's the one that we did yesterday. Oh, but it was cheating. But that was when it was broken. We should probably get rid of this. What's the strat? Oh, okay. So let me go back. So basically, it goes long at a certain time of day. Basically after lunch. It goes long after lunch, and then it has a certain target and stop that are equal to each other. And if the stop gets hit, then it reverses. And it reverses with double. And you can see here that, like, when that happens, when the stop does get hit and it reverses, it makes so much. Like, it's really actually wild that the short trades has that much. But it doesn't have a very good Sharpe ratio. It kind of works, but it doesn't have a very good Sharpe ratio. But let's curve fit it for funsies. 25 to 10 increment 0.5. And then we use a stop. We use a minimum stop of 4 and a maximum stop of 60 and increase them by 4. And this might kill the stream, but that should result in a couple hundred iterations. So I think we should be able to handle that. Let's move this out of the way and try and keep a better eye on our winning trade. Hey. You know what feels good about that trade that I took today is that I was able to predict which way the flows were going to be from the very beginning of the session, and I had to hold it through the whole time. So maybe it was a 50-50, maybe I was lucky, but I think that we successfully predicted which way the flows are going to be. It's a situation where we have a very high probability of being able to predict them because there's so much flow that has to come through from the pension funds. Oh man, even with the curve fit in it does not. Okay, so what is it doing for the parameters here? Oh my gosh, wait. The start time is 12 a.m.? That's not right. Okay, let me redo it, and I will do it with, let's see here. Does it have, where's mine? I have one. I created my own optimization thing. Sharp filtered, there we go. So this will require, it will try and filter it based on the Sharpe ratio, but it will require a certain minimum number of trades. Let me show it to you. Performance metrics, or no, where is it? Sharpe filtered right here. So minimum trades, it's giving us 20. Let's change that to like 50 trades, but I think in this case it shouldn't matter. But by default, I want that to be. Oh, actually, should I be? Nah, it doesn't even matter the Sharpe filtered because it's supposed to take a trade every day, right? So we should just do max Sharpe ratio, okay? Let's retrade that. Hey. Okay. So it was able to get a Sharpe of 0.33. What parameters was it using? Oh. Really, really big stop. Well, 52 tick stop instead of 60. But really big R factor. So it's actually making 6 times on its winners than its losers. And you can see when you do that. Oh, that's interesting. How come the short trades make so much more when I do that? Oh, because the shorts are actually going for a big winner as well. Oh, and so it's probably just most of the time on the short, it's probably holding it to the close, huh? Look, they ticked up at 24, 8,000 contracts. If they slice through all of these sellers, I don't know. I think it'd be really hard for them to really, at this point, for them to get through these orders right here. That would be tough. But if they did it, that'd be awfully cool. Yeah, finally headed places on ZN. Results of that are interesting, but it's still a Sharpe ratio of only 0.33. So, but I'm kind of like, I'm seeing some interesting things with this. So, like, the first thing is we don't have any filters on there other than time. So that's curious to me. We could filter that a little bit. We could say, I only go long if we're already up on the day, or there's some amount of trend up or something like that, you know? So we could filter a little bit, and that might, if we could filter out some of those bad long trades, right? There's $300,000 worth in there to pull out. So we could possibly double the profitability of this. And you know, that would really help, probably help these max drawdowns. Then I can also add the risk management parts. That will probably help. So I might be able to get it to 0.5. But then also, what if I well, I don't think that this would necessarily apply to other instruments. I don't know. But you know, if we could get it to be across multiple instruments, or maybe let's say we did it across stocks. Let's say if we did this across different stocks, then that might help the Sharpe ratio too. What if we just take the hedge? Oh, it would take me a while to program that one. But you're right. If we only took the hedge, you know, we'd make $320,000. But like the shorts, the Sharpe ratio is still only 0.33. And the probability on that isn't super high either, by the way. So like, which means that the variation on them is pretty wide. Probably what I should do is have the R factor be different. So like on the hedge, the R factor should let's do that. Let's program that, okay? R factor reverse. We'll make sure we have the default set in here. Stop equals 60. R factor equals 6. R factor reverse equals 1. And down in here, when we do this, we set the stop, the target here to be R factor reverse. Still a lot of orders hitting into 25 as well, guys. This is crazy. Let's see if they break that. So I'm just going to open up the best one. And R factor reverse 1. Oh, that didn't change it, did it? Oh, hold on. I could do this. These. I guess it's not changing it because the shorts almost always just are on close. Like, I bet you if I come in here to trades and then I sort them by exit name, that most of the losers are exit on session close. Let's see my stop and how much does my reverse stop happen? It never happens. Cool. But when we're doing this optimization here, we'll just not optimize an R factor reverse, so always keep it to 1. Holy crap, 11K. 11K cleared 25. Look at those bids they're leaving behind. Holy crap. It still comes out to the same. I don't know. I think I'm doing something wrong. Oh, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it's just that because of the time and everything. You think the start time should be 11:01? Okay. Okay, let's try it. Okay, I'm gonna just take the $10. Because it's like, that should create a pretty big liquidity hole, I would think. And like, we only have like 5 minutes left. So if I was going to hold it for a couple of hours, I would think that it'd be like, oh. Holy moly, Seth. I thought there was a huge amount of volume traded on ZN, but I never looked at the bid-ask size of their options. Oh, is it huge? Oh, I don't know. Hey, whoa, wait, hold on. Hold the boat. Hold the boat. That 1 minute difference did make a difference, and it gave you a Sharpe ratio of 0.5. Well, that's a little suspicious to me, man. That 1 minute makes that big of a difference. That's a little suspicious. Okay, so that's interesting. That is what I would expect to see from like a Sharpe ratio of 0.5. I don't think that you could start a hedge fund with it. Oh, don't tell people that you're running it. Now they're going to go and ruin it, Morgan. This one was too good. Shouldn't have put it on the stream. But what was that? What parameters was that again? 56 and an R factor of 10. But that's kind of a key that you can, if you're going to continue running it, that you can do is that your target should be further than your stop on the original position. Because basically what that does is it ensures that most of the time you hold it to the close, right? I think the reason why this strategy is working so well is because the parameters and everything that we have in it, it holds it to the close. So it's basically trying to figure out at that time, are we on an up day or a down day? And then rides a certain amount of that. Okay. Interesting. Maybe I got out too early. They tried to block sell at 25 and the bids ate all of it and it did not tick down. There was 9K there and they did not tick down. This is what I'm saying. I think that it's still appropriate for me to get out, but that was primarily because we're ending the stream in 5 minutes. Okay. I think that the treasuries probably continue to be net buy until the end of the day. Like, let's say, I don't know if you really want to hold it. Well, actually, I think you do. Because when it's like these pension funds and stuff like that, they will often do stuff after the bid close. But you'll probably have a massive bid close for the treasuries. But I think it's a long, and I think we could probably come in tomorrow and do this again. Of course, it was only worth $10 for me, so that kind of sucks. But with the spectacular way that it played out, you know, if ever there was an example where I could come in and I could say, hey guys, not everything is priced in. There can be people out there that have to buy or sell and the market's not correctly pricing it. And you can predict those flows and make a little bit of money off of it. If ever there was an example I could use for that, it was today. So it came in really easy to just say, the pension fund flows are going to really dominate, and that's going to probably push up the treasuries. And we could even see it like, then the next thing is, Do we see evidence for that on the DOM? Well, we're seeing a little bit of net buying, and the book was really thick, which was kind of suspicious, made me think, yes, there are the big guys out there. So that's what gave me the confidence to come, because I haven't taken a whole lot of trades, right? This is the first trade I've taken this week. I don't think I've taken a trade since that day before the Federal Reserve meeting, or was it? I don't know. I think it was that week. But I got a pretty big winner on that one, right? This one's only $10, of course, but still, I think it's a really good illustrative example. So if you're new to look at, to say, oh yeah, actually, there are some instances where you can do that. It's hard, takes a lot of work, a lot of patience, but sometimes you can do it. If only I could have the, what is the word? The self-control to only ever trade those, right? Only trade the end of the week, or the end of the month, end of the quarter. Well, anyways, I don't know. This strategy, I still don't think I personally would trade it, but it does give me some ideas. I'm just really surprised that the stop and reverse works so well in that case. Is a little suspicious to me. But it's on 1 minute bars, so like, it's got to be somewhat accurate. So I do, but going back, so now if we come in and we do some of our more funky stuff, like, okay. So MAE, so there, it does appear to be a place where we can set, let's change this to ticks. Okay, so it does seem to me that at 1,000 ticks, you should just cut it off and take the profit, right? Because there, oh no, wait, this is the MAE. You definitely shouldn't, but it should never have a loss larger than 60 ticks. So some of those stops may not be getting hit when they should be. There might be some problems with it. I might need to optimize some things still. MFE. Ah, okay. On MFE, one of the big things that I'm really quite cautious about is like, are there ones where like it really went pretty far in its favor and then went all the way back down? Then I know there's something messed up, right? Now, I asked you yesterday about lob data. Have you researched Lobster? I see that quite academic talk about lob users, their data. Well, so when you're talking about lob data, aren't they just talking about limit order book data, which is basically what we're looking at on the DOM? I think that's what they mean. We did get another 3 ticks there. If it comes down to like 4-2 before I leave, then I'll be like, oh. Let's try this on the treasuries. Do it 11 o'clock. It'll still be doing the same R factor stuff. Yeah. Let's do it. If this comes out and it's effective on the treasury, well, it shouldn't be, actually. Nah, probably shouldn't be, because it always goes long, right? I'm going to bet you that the Sharpe ratio is lower. If it comes out profitable, it will be, Sharpe ratio should be lower. Yeah, Sharpe ratio is lower. But it does have a net profit. That's quite wild, actually. Well, yeah, I did. what I'm doing is I'm optimizing it, right? I'm optimizing the stop. So you can kind of see here where like the larger there's kind of like a sweet spot with the stop. And in ZN it's pretty tight. It's pretty close. Well, there's 20.5. I could have taken 15. But now it's definitely like we should probably be closing it, right? I'm still happy with it. I was very happy with it. And especially since I think we'll probably get these opportunities tomorrow and Friday as well. Yeah, I do think so there's a couple of things about this that are kind of interesting. So the first thing is that I have always found that like doing timed entries of some sort can have interesting properties. Like there are certain times of days where you'll get like shifts in the market and when it's better to buy and better to not buy. And I've kind of been utilizing that. I don't use it as a rule like I want to take a trade at X time, but what I do say is like if we had a big trend and then it's kind of pulled back, I want to wait 45 minutes, right? And I think that that's why you get those kind of time frames. So that's the first thing. But then the other interesting thing about it is the stop and reverse. So we know that there is a strong correlation in order flow sign. So if we are seeing buying at a certain time, then the chances of us seeing buying an hour later is really high, right? And the stop and reverse sort of strategy that you're doing here is an interesting way of taking advantage of that. Is you're saying, okay, at a certain time, we're going to take a trade and we have a stop and target that's large enough to give you a good sampling of data. And then if we're wrong, if it's not a long, then we can reverse it because we know that the flows that day are short. And then whichever way it is, we should then be able to hold it until the session close. So that's a really great way of approaching it. And we might be able to improve that, right? Like we might be able to come in and say, let's just watch the order flow for the first hour. And if the order flow is net long by a certain amount, then we take a trade on the assumption that that imbalance in the order flow will continue for the rest of the day. Right? I'm not sure that I would put this in the same category as like a day trading strategy, even though it is intraday. But there's some elements of it that are a little bit more like a swing strategy, right? But it's the thing that I like about it is that I've always kind of been trying to do this thing where it's like, I want to hold it till the session close. And for some reason, I have a really hard time doing that. Like it usually doesn't work out that way. When I'm doing that, it seems like when I'm not doing it, it would work great. But then when I start doing that, it doesn't cooperate, you know? But here is an example of a strategy that is successfully doing that, and it appears profitable because of that. So that was a good one. That was a good one. Thank you for sharing that with us. Next time, tell me off stream. I think, oh, I don't know. So, oh, did I close the window? I closed the window. I was going to say, I think that the drawdown was probably still too much for me, but maximum drawdown was probably like $3,000 to $5,000 on a micro contract. So make of that what you will. I kind of also am wondering if I do that kind of time thing. Wow, that buying came back in really aggressive there all of a sudden. Back to where we were. Oh, do I got stuff? It's top of the hour, so I do have to keep going. What should we put in for the title? Super tight. They breaks out higher from and end of month flows overwhelm tight range. There we go. Okay, guys. We had a really good stream today, I felt. Had a couple of fun things to talk about. We did a back test that was successful. We had a day trade that was successful. Let's come over here and put in here. Okay, so here in the discussion, we talked about Alex Huberman is a I don't know what to call him. He's not a very good person. He's a cheater. He's a cheater. We put that in there. The P Diddy is running. And then we talked about icebergs. And we talked about we back tested a stop and reverse strategy. Then here on the trades, long off expectation month end flows will be long, held for a long time, but did get great breakout for profit. Could probably hold it longer. Does look like I maybe gave up 5 ticks, but so far that's all I've given up. Okay, so good stream, guys. I will see you tomorrow. In the meantime, stay excellent, team.